Our next speaker will be David D. I'm not going to say his last name because I can't pronounce it. He's the founder of NC Freedom. David? You know, I just forgot, though, and God forgive me. Can I have every veteran just raise their right hand and stand up that's here today? Can we give them a big hand? Thank you guys for serving. David?
What an act to follow. Thank you, Bubba. Thank you all for coming today. I'm not going to pull any punches on my speech. I will say first off that I don't think my speech is going to give Chris Matthews a throw up his leg. First thing I want to do is get some housekeeping out of the way, and I will put pause in for dramatic effect. Yes, no, I don't know. You are right, I am wrong. Press is going to report this however they want. I'm just making it easier for them. It doesn't really matter what we say today. It's why we're here and what we do next. We are setting the example for future generations and hopefully the future nearby. I come today here as an individual, not representing any group. I come here with my sacred honor, because that's one thing that people try to take away, but they cannot. They can take away my life, they can take away my fortune, I can give away my fortune, but they can never take away our sacred honor. How many people here ever think about sacred honor, let alone honor, every day? See a few hands raised. Our forefathers fought a revolution with the following pledge in the Declaration of Independence, which is shown below. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the fortunes of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. The American Revolution was fought to give us freedom. No matter what the spin is, that was the final goal of our founding fathers and founding mothers. Many of them did give their lives, and they've been lost to history. Many lost their fortunes, but they never sacrificed their sacred honor to give us freedom. My question today to you is very simple. What will you do to regain our freedom? Notice I didn't say keep our freedom, I said regain our freedom. A lot of people will argue that we still have our freedom. I want you to consider this quote from Goethe. None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. I want you to consider freedom in a new way. Freedom is not plural. You either have it or you don't. You cannot have part freedom and part slavery. You are either free or you are not. When's the last time you ever thought about freedom not being plural? You cannot parse a portion out of it and still consider yourself to be free. The colonists understood this principle completely. Anyone who takes the fruits of your labor without compensation is stealing your time and therefore a portion of your life. I think any fifth grader that was taught outside our public school system could effectively argue that paying 50% of your labor in taxes to support 47% of the population is not freedom. Until we come together in one united goal to regain our freedom, our efforts are divided. We will not be successful. Today's event is just the beginning of that goal. We know that the Second Amendment was added to the Bill of Rights to protect us from the government. I did not know most of these things 2 years ago. I do know that most of our efforts are being devoted to what I consider white noise, and we are not moving forward as we need to. The cursory history that our indoctrination centers, now known as schools, did not prepare me for the incredible sacrifice that was made to give us these United States. An aspiring politician was recently asked, what two historical books have made an impact on your life? as soon as that was asked, I started going through a long list. The answer was, I don't have a clue. I immediately thought of the 5,000-Year Leap, of course some other books, but the 5,000-Year Leap taught me the concept of public virtue. Please raise your hand if you ever heard of the concept of public virtue before. There's a few. I'm going to read an excerpt from the 5,000-Year Leap. This is pertaining to the period before this revolution. Many Americans became extremely self-conscious about their lack of public virtue because of non-involvement in the affairs of government. They began to acknowledge their obsession with self-interest, the neglects of public affairs, the disdains for the needs of the community as a whole. Gradually, a spirit of sacrifice and reform became manifest in all 13 colonies. They realized that without coming together for a common goal, they would never get their freedom. They sacrificed for the common good, that is public virtue. Looking back on that period, another historian wrote, in the eyes of the Whig, the 2 or 3 years before the Declaration of Independence always appears to be the great period of the Revolution, the time of greatest denial and cohesion, when men ceased to extort and abuse one another, when families and communities seemed particularly united, when the courts were wonderfully free of that constant bickering over land and credit that had dominated their colonial life. Sounds like us today, doesn't it? The maturing of the colonists for a greater good gave the country gave the world the greatest nation ever seen on the face of the earth. We are now reaping the consequences of our lack of public virtue. Is America up to the challenge to restore our country? The American spirit has been reduced to a few glowing embers. It is up to us to decide if we will rekindle this spirit into the greatness we were given at such a high cost.